Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. Well, maybe not Happy New Year to you. It's probably January 2nd when you're watching this, but for us, me and Small Fry here, it is January 1st, and I'm Big Mike, and today I'm going to do something that wrestled with for a little while. Not sure I wanted to do it. I'm not trying to capitalize on anything. But I wanted to do a tribute to, I think, the best to ever do it on YouTube. And to be honest with you, there's others, probably more creators that have had more financial success, more fame and notoriety. But today I'm going to talk about the OG, the great one, Adam the Woo. So today I have a piping hot caffeinated beverage. We are going to go out. We're going to enjoy this day. We're going on an adventure, and we're asking you to join us. Oh, that's warm. That's warm. That's hot. Shall you? I wasn't sure whether to do this video today. I don't want to be one of those that tries to capitalize on anybody's name, but Adam was always special to me personally. I didn't ever get to meet him in person, but just one of those guys that was just always struck me as somebody on YouTube that was just himself, as much as he could be in a public fashion. And so I figured today I would share one of the, I guess, small connections I had with Adam years ago. I mean, I'm nothing in comparison to a lot of people that knew him personally. There goes the train. Choo-choo. So today we're out at Chef Pass. See the old rusty bridge there. Just outside of New Orleans, Louisiana. Once again, pretty close to where I grew up. A really cool little area. Once again, if you watched my video yesterday, you realize I have a deep love for Louisiana. But back to the subject at hand, Adam the Woo. To me, he's one of the best that's ever done it, and it's because he did it on his terms. You know, he made a choice in his life that he was going to do what he wanted to do, and he was going to figure out a way to make a living while doing it, even when there was no way to really make a living at the time. You know, he's just struck me as a person that was just a genuinely good guy. He took a lot of criticism, but anytime you're in a public forum of any kind, you'll take criticism. So, but I'm going to share a little personal connection that I had with Adam, and it was years and years ago, about 11 years ago, according to the YouTube timeline. Never got to meet him in person. But he was driving down Highway 90. He had posted a picture on Facebook, and I recognized about the point where he was at. He just posted a picture of a bridge, and he had just said something about, you know, heading down somewhere, and I just made a comment on there. Oh, I can tell exactly where you're at. You're on Highway 90, heading down towards New Orleans. And I said, if you're heading down that way, I have a few suggestions. At the time, he was still doing a lot of abandoned places. And Highway 90 is, this area, never quite as big as Route 66. But it was still one of those places that, you know, eventually the interstate bypassed. And there was a lot of old roadside attractions that are no longer here. I'd suggested a couple, but this was one place. There was two forts that were out in this area. It was Fort Pike and Fort Macomb. And at the time, Fort Pike was still open to the public, but Fort Macomb, my whole life, has always been closed to the public. And so I suggested a few places to him, and he actually reached out to me, asked me if I wanted to possibly meet up. And this is where I could kick myself. And it's no personal affront to Adam. I've always been a big fan of his. But at the time, I've been watching him since probably most people have picked up on him, which was the abandoned Six Flags video. But it was also kind of still early years for YouTube. And, you know, I think Adam put himself sometimes in some pretty scary situations. But also from a personal perspective, I didn't really know Adam, you know? Didn't know Adam from Adam. And here's this guy that travels around and visits abandoned places and travels in a van. And so it's like, even though I knew his YouTube persona, I didn't know him personally. And so I was a little bit nervous about going somewhere abandoned with a guy that I'd never actually met personally. Give a few more years of YouTube content, and I started, especially when he started the daily channel, got to know him a little bit more personally, just from watching him, you know, and his interactions with people and things like that. And so after that, I was like, you know, every once in a while I'd make a trip down to Disney and hope to meet him, and I never would run into him. But just always thankful for what Adam brought to the YouTube community, and just taught us that you can be who you want to be, and don't be afraid to do it. Like, if you've got a dream, get up and make it happen. Don't just sit there and just keep it as a dream. What have you done today to make that dream happen? So today, I'm at the place where I'd asked Adam to check out, and he ended up checking it out, and maybe wasn't one of the best choices for him. It kind of didn't get a whole lot of views, but I'm going to post the screenshot of where you can find the video. But it was the abandoned Fort Macomb video. I think it's got about like 27,000 views, so not one of his more popular videos. But I'm gonna see if I can get in and check it out. So let's go check it out. All right, so here's part of the outside of the fort. You can see the weather has just really done its work to it. A lot of erosion, things like that. So probably not the safest place to go into, but the gates are open. And so that just tells me that we're welcome to check it out. What you think, small fry? The oyster shells laying out. All right. Looks like we got the main entrance here is wide open. Very cool. I think back then Adam had to jump a fence to get in here somehow. I guess they decided people were gonna come in anyway and just left it open. Very cool. I didn't think I was gonna be able to get access here today. All right, let's go ahead and go on in. So you gotta be careful, these bricks sometimes can fall. These are a set of forts that were made in the mid 1800s. I believe that the president at the time was James Monroe, and these forts were set up as a place for to fortify the Gulf Coast. Hey, somebody had a computer out here. These forts were set up as a place to fortify the Gulf Coast from invasion. So, you got to understand, at this time, the United States had been through the Revolution, the War of 1812, and this place is awesome. This is really cool. And the War of 1812 came to New Orleans, and it ended in the Battle of New Orleans, and part of that invasion into New Orleans came through Lake Borgne, the Gulf of Mexico, through Lake Borgne into the Mississippi River. And so these forts were necessary to start to build a protection for the United States along the Gulf Coast. New Orleans was and still is a very, very important part of the United States. In fact, you can see how important it plays a role in the United States Civil War. Once the Union claims the Mississippi River, even though the war lingered on for a little bit longer, it was all but over because the last supply line of the South was gone. And so at the time, the Mississippi River was probably the most important waterway in the entirety of the United States. And so these forts were important to protect that. All right, walking in. This is why we do this in the morning, not the Dungeon of Diddy. I don't believe that that was the case for this room here. This room probably, hello? This room most likely would have been a storage area for powder and munitions.
Well, Haley was here.
Haley was We don't want no Dungeon of Diddy. We're good.
Looks like it was used to burn stuff, like a burn pit.
It quite possibly could have been, so they may have used it. I don't know. It doesn't chimney out, so I don't know. Do you know what that is? Give us a comment down below. So in here, you can see kind of like this little arc that goes around. There's this window, and that would be where a cannon would be placed, and they could swivel it around and point in any direction they needed to. So in that direction would be Lake Pontchartrain. Even though you can't see it, it's covered by trees. As we come through here, it's kind of dark, but the camera sees better than I do. A lot of inappropriate graffiti. It's part of the reason why we do this during the daytime and the wee morning hours. People that do this sort of stuff usually come at night. So there's another spot where a cannon would have been placed. That's an interesting spot. It looks like that might go into the powder magazine as well, which makes sense. You got these cannons here, and maybe they needed a quick access. Although I don't know if I could have gotten through a small hole like that. People back then were just built different. Here's another one. This is right outside the other side of the entrance. And you'll find these little cannonades. I guess that's what they would be called, cannonades. These placements where you can see on this one especially, looks like that might have been something where they would have locked or had a pole that the cannon would sit on and allow it to swivel. Swivel?
There's another keyboard. People are just bringing keyboards in here.
Does it still work? Well, brick works. So this place isn't necessarily safe. You always have to be careful walking around places like this. But it's also a testament. You've got a building that has sat abandoned since probably late 1800s. And it's just a testament to the kind of brickwork that they did back then, that this place is still, like, it's still standing. Tons of hurricanes have battered this place, and it's still just in one piece. Very cool. This opens up out to the main part of the fort. It looks like they just had a window here. And it's not like a walkway. Very short entrance. Small fry even has to duck to get through.
Oh, sure.
This middle part is called a citadel. Kind of hard to see in this flashy sunlight. And the citadel obviously would be where most of the soldiers would probably bivouac or whatever. And it's hard to see because there's things growing through it. But this would be like a last line of defense. Also, as you see, they got all these small holes. Well, what would they be there for? They'd be there to fire weapons out of. And so, you got the protection of the brickwork. If you notice, it's really, really thick. Like, most people don't build brick walls that are that thick. So it's meant to withstand quite a bit at the time. So you had the protection of the walls. So if somehow the fort got breached, this would be where your last stand would take place. And you could fire. They had up top, so there was probably a little balcony that kind of came through on this side, and they would be able to fire out. And you could see the little holes through the windows there too.
Like walkways.
And you can see, yeah, and you can see like they have these placements here. So they probably had something like iron bars or something here at some point.
There's like hinges, like a door there.
Yeah. Now, this is the inside of the citadel part of it. That looks sketchy. I'm not sure I want to go walking through that part. But now you can kind of see it from the inside. But it looks like you had places that could be closed off also. So like if you had another area that got breached, you had another layer of protection within these walls. If you see these like domed, like this rooftop kind of curves up and down like arches or something. And on top of it, they would actually intentionally place dirt and earth. And so that would help it maintain itself during a barrage of cannon fire. And so it's pretty smart design, to be honest with you. Very well built. Yeah, this is awesome. Wow. Yeah, that's sketchy. You can see straight up through the roof here.
You can literally see like where there's bigger like.
So You know, this is the main area now. I don't think all the soldiers would have been encamped in here. If I remember correctly, years ago when I was at Fort Pike, they would show like there'd be a big encampment outside of the fort. And obviously you would have people out here that would also like be merchants. So you may have like like this could possibly be where the quartermaster may have been. This, very interesting. We got like a trench that goes down here and goes back here. Yeah, little sketch. I'm not gonna step on that board, at least not in the middle part there. I'll stay on this side.
I'm about to turn on my flash for video.
My guess is, yeah, you see there's like a fire pit there. So this is probably like a blacksmith area.
There's like a hole in the bottom right there.
Yeah, that might have been to allow air through and stuff like that. So this may have been like a blacksmithing area up in here. Kind of dark. I should have brought a flashlight. I think a lot of this has been bricked up. I don't know.
It's like a pathway down the middle so they can travel across or something.
Yeah. So I think some of this may have been bricked up after the fact. See, this may have been something like a commissary as well. Or it could have also been like a jail. Like each one of these forts probably would have had some kind of brig. I know at one point Fort Pike, and possibly this fort as well, held Seminole prisoners from the Seminole Wars in Florida. So I'm gonna be walking through this little area here, see what we can find. Okay, another dead end.
That's cool looking at snake though. It goes even deeper.
Fairly sure that's not part of the original work. Somebody just decided to carve away at it. And this is still kind of on the back side of the fort. So we haven't even made it to the front side of the fort yet.
Yeah.
This one's built different, a little bit different than Fort Pike. So yeah, it looks like you used to be able to walk straight through here. They just bricked all these sections up for some reason. Some old stairway that goes up there. Definitely not walking on that part. Some more of these like little alcoves that go nowhere. Not sure what they were meant for. Kind of made our way to the front side of the fort, or I guess the Lake Catherine facing side of the fort, Chef Pass facing side. Another small little hole. Let's see. I'm too big to be squeezing into places like this. It's a little dark. Definitely can't see in there. Can I see your flashlight real quick? All right. I'm way too big to be in a room like this. Oh. A little muddy in here. But as you can see, it opens up. Like the other parts of the fort, they had these archways bricked up. But in this part, as you can see, it's low tide out.
Look at all that gunk on
The
there.
tide's still going out. Let's see. So these casemates start to open up to Chef Pass, where obviously you would have a cannon in every single one of these windows. And this just goes on and on and on. Oh, that scared me for a second. that room going into there. I swear I thought that was a person standing there for a second.
Oh my god. Flash light.
There's another one of the small rooms. I guess these would have been, my guess is with the proximity to the cannons, would be a powder magazines.
It's more like hollow, like you can really hear my voice.
Yeah, these would probably be powder magazines where they could quickly get to powder, cannonballs, things of that sort. Would be my best guess. Using the whole Occam's razor thing.
People were short back then.
I don't know if they were short, but they were definitely more nimble than we are. So this would be one of the views out of one of the windows where the cannon would stand and be able to fire into Chef Pass, Lake Catherine. So pretty formidable fortification, I would think. But I'm no military tactician either, so this would be like one of those anchor points where they could swivel the cannon. Probably not a whole lot of room for it to go in. Oh, there's a hole there.
That's what I almost stepped in.
And look, this one goes straight out like a trench like that too.
It's deeper though, I think.
Like part of me thinks that they did this to be able to move the cannon, but like not every single one of these cannonades has that. So.
Yeah, because it looks like the.
I don't know.
Maybe it was a big cannon and they couldn't carry it by themselves. Or like a cart one.
I really don't know. It's a good question.
Plastic bag. Anyone need one?
Yeah, like there's another one of those powder magazine rooms there. Yeah, I feel pretty safe to say that those are powder magazines. So these places would have been, I would say, pretty adequately equipped to mount a defense if they had to. And thankfully, for their sakes and our sakes, they never had to.
Somebody really loves Kaden. There's like Kaden Gay written everywhere.
this, now I can tell this would have been probably like their smelter or whatever, because there's a chimney here. Looks like there was a chimney built here. So this would probably be where the blacksmithing took place. See, I stand corrected. Maybe y'all know what that other place was. But this would definitely be, and it makes sense because it's actually in close proximity to the bulk of where the cannons would be in this fort.
There's like, what is this forming up here?
That, have you ever heard of stalactites and stalagmites?
No, that looks like icicles.
So that's basically like limestone deposit that drips down from rain over the years. So stalactite hangs tightly to the ceiling. So if you see caves, they have stalactites and stalagmites. And so the way my teacher taught me in school was stalactites cling tightly to the roof, and stalagmites might reach the ceiling one day.
Yeah.
So I always had to remember it.
There's a big hole up there.
That's so awesome. I wish I would have brought my better camera instead of just using my phone. So cool. Let's go see. Shall we?
Like, this one's made out of dirt, I think. A little bit of dirt.
Oh, goodness. Be very careful. So now we're kind of on top of the fort. Came up that ramp there. Got to be very careful up here. Hard to see. There's a lot of shrubs. It's overgrown. There's the citadel. You can kind of see the top there, where they would have had, like I said, lots of dirt, earthworks on top of it, the way it was specially built. Here's where that chimney comes out right there. Got to be very careful up here, because that could be a bad stop. The top of the fort. Very awesome. Very cool. It's kind of hard to see in here, but this is also on top of the fort, but you see the brickwork here and kind of like a curved concrete work of some kind. So this would have been a cannon battery up on top of the fort as well. It's kind of hard to navigate. A lot of shrubberies. Shrubberies. You must bring us a shrubbery.
Yeah, see, there's another path right there.
I'm gonna follow this path for a little bit, I guess. Got to be very careful. We don't know how stable the fort is under our feet right now. See, that's more brickwork up here. Yeah, you see, this would have been another, like, casemates of some kind, cannon spots, I believe. Kind of faces out that way too. Really, really cool. Wow. Never thought it would have ever been in here.
Me neither.
I'm getting a weird smell like coming through here all the time. This place is, I just figured out, it's covered in wild lantana. So lantana is like a shrub that grows down south, and most people put it in their yards to like attract butterflies, but this top of this fort is absolutely covered in it. It's very cool. I don't know, I guess it's growing wild. I don't know if it's just a naturally wild plant we domesticated or what, but that's pretty cool. And then we got more, like, this place is just, the top of this is just surrounded by more places where they would have had cannons, like this brickwork here. And dude, this is awesome. There's like a large brick wall, and if I remember correctly, when I was at Fort Pike, like this section of the fort over at Fort Pike was like where it was like a captain's quarters or something like that. And so I don't know why a captain's quarters or whatever would be on top of the fort, but it may have been quartermaster. I don't know. I don't remember. It was so long ago. Does anybody know what those poles are for?
Maybe like when they declared victory, they would hang the flag.
I don't know. That doesn't look like it's original to the fort. That's metal. They probably wouldn't have been putting a metal flagpole.
Do you see that hole over there? Was that where people would hide?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think that. What hole do you see?
Like in the corner right there.
It could just be a hole on the brickwork. Another view of the citadel from up top. There's like a brickwork down there.
You don't want to step on that.
It's like a big circle, like a circle of goodness. As Adam Wu would call it, a circle of goodness. That brickwork's definitely sketchy. Don't want to get too close to the edge there. There's a clearer picture of the casemates, the cannon spots. Like this is a better conditioned wall for sure. I don't remember they had this at Fort Pike, like at least, like it was probably present when the fort was there, but I think they had long since covered all that up when I went there. So this is like really cool stuff that might be original to the fort, I guess. That wouldn't have been present at Fort Pike, in my memory at least. The dangers of vlogging abandoned places. I found a hole. And I'm gonna go back the way I came from because I'm not gonna keep going. I'm not built for hospital visits or long falls, so. I'm not going down that stairwell either. That's sketchy, sketchy, sketchy. I'm gonna have to circle back around. So that's why I walked in front of you, small fry. I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. The dangers of urban exploration. That's why I don't do this on the regular. So, in fact, I think this is my first urban exploration. So, about to wrap things up here in just a little bit. I think I've seen about as much as I can of the inside of this fort and saw all I wanted to see of the top of the fort after I found the hole. So, just being a 48-year-old man, I don't need to be taking any dives through a roof. So, all right. Fort Puh. It's Fort Macomb. Get it right. Look at the wood doors. That's awesome. That's not original of the fort, but still cool nonetheless. And of course, people come and dump their stuff out here. Always try to leave a place better than you came. That's all I'm saying. There's more brickwork. It's kind of hard to see, but on the outside of this fort over here, I just wonder what relation it was to the fort. It's like on the close to the entrance of the fort, but it makes me wonder if there's some kind of quarters out here as well. I don't know, kind of hard to see. Very overgrown, very much in ruins. about the best shot I can get. That's about the best shot I can get of the outside of the fort without being out on the water. And with it being cold and me not being a very strong swimmer, not having a boat, I won't get that shot. So the sad fact is that these forts are in disrepair. They're falling apart. Part of our history is falling away. It's not an important enough part of our history for the federal government to make this a protected landmark, because it didn't serve any significant role. It didn't see service in, any kind of armed conflict. But to me, just the construction of it, the fact that we've got these masonry forts that just have lasted for, I guess close to 200 years now, is absolutely a testament, surviving storm after storm. And unfortunately, the state of Louisiana, years ago, long before I was born, Fort Macomb was closed to the public. And we were lucky enough today that the gates were open. And I don't know if it's just one of those that people can visit, but back at the time that Adam the Woo visited, it was very much a locked area. You couldn't get in, anything like that. And he went and explored it. But unfortunately, the state of Louisiana can't afford to keep these places going. I remember inside of Fort Pike, they were having to reinforce everything with timbers and things like that, and it just got to cost too much for the state of Louisiana. So both of these forts, probably in the next couple of decades, will collapse in on themselves and be no more. And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to document it today. I'm sure other YouTubers have documented it. That was part of the reason why I wanted Adam the Woo to go. And he went and he documented it. And this was my first experience ever with any kind of, I guess what you would call urban exploration. And that's really not my thing. Like, I love watching it. That's how I got hooked on Adam the Woo. I love watching, I guess as he would say, watching it vicariously through him, through his lens. And he's what made it real for a lot of people. It's strange to feel sad for a loss of somebody that you never met. But like I said, he was just always himself, always personable. He just exuded a confidence in his self and his ability, his love for Americana, his love for small town America, his love for pieces of history that are disappearing fast on us, his love for theme parks. I'm a Disney fanatic myself. I loved watching him go to Disney and just become a kid again. But all that to say, I guess what I did today, as his earlier channel would say, don't try this at home. Go find somewhere else to do it. In other words, look, get out there, live your life. Find something that you enjoy doing, and get up in the morning and go do it. Like, don't waste those moments. Don't be afraid to get in front of a camera. I'm not looking for any kind of success on a YouTube channel. I realized in all of this that in some way Adam is always going to be with his fans and his family, not just in here, but we can go to YouTube and see his life. He lived it in front of the camera, much like the Truman Show. So go out, live your life. Don't try it at home. Go find somewhere else to do it. Go find adventures to get into. So all that to say, to the Pepper Crew family, we love you. If family and friends of Adam the Woo ever come across this, know that we love you and we care about you. And if you were just a fan that considered Adam a friend vicariously through a video camera, we love you too. And all that to say, we're going to end it in true Adam fashion. The vlog is over.